Hey everyone, time for another mini lecture. So, have you heard this saying? She looks at the world through rose-colored glasses. Notice I have my rose-colored glasses on. So, usually that saying, it's kind of a negative thing, meaning that somebody's being overly optimistic. But things are certainly looking very rosy right now as I look through these lenses. So I'm making this video to show you an example by analogy of what I mean when I say using different lenses depending on what discipline your course is in. So for this example, I have two different pairs of lenses. One is magenta, this one here is indigo. And you can see that the colors change, the image changes when I look through different lenses. That's normal. Then there's magenta. And the last is indigo. And the same is going on with the next scenes. So what's happening is that the lenses are filtering out different light depending on which color lenses I use. And here's an example. So the principle of this is, for example, if you're using the magenta colored or red colored lenses, they only really let the red light come through. So things look redder, or in this case, more magenta. And you can see in the sunset pictures that all the pink and orange in the sky gets kind of washed out because everything looks pink and orange because those glasses are mostly letting through pink light. So the idea with our academic lenses is to do the same sort of thing. So the academic disciplines use lenses as well, or filters, it's not that they only let in certain details, it's that they place an emphasis on certain details, and they ask different questions depending on the discipline. So people within disciplines also look at things through different lenses. We all look at things through different lenses because of who we are, where we grew up, where we're from, what we learned growing up. So we need to keep that in mind, that we each have our own lenses and biases, you might say. But in addition, within each discipline, people tend to look at things in different ways. So, for example, in history, which is what we're studying in this course, the study of the history of the United States and much of the history of the world here in the United States has had a Eurocentric focus for many, many years until recently. So that is one way of looking at history, through the perspective of Europeans and European Americans who saw themselves going out and discovering the world, right? That's one of the indicators that they're looking at things from their own perspective, is that they say they went out and discovered something that, there were people already there. So recently, there's been a lot of controversy over something called critical race theory. And you may wonder what that is. Critical race theory is simply a name for using the lens of race through which to view things. So critical race theory says when we study the history of the United States, we need to look at things that are race-based, like slavery. Because here in the United States, it was the first time that slavery had ever been based solely on somebody's race. So race is very important. It's very important to understanding what happened. So that's what critical race theory does. It centers race and not just the white race. So, but we can also use other lenses as well. Historians are coming up with a lot of new evidence about different things that happen. So we can look at lenses based on what historians are finding out about things, or we could use a gender lens, we can use a queer lens. There are many different lenses we can use to look at history. So one of the things that we'll be doing in this class is to think about what we're reading about history from a couple of different lenses. So with that, I will let you continue reading the information in the module. Take care. Try on some different lenses this semester.